David Walker stares at his phone in the back of his limousine. The message glows on his screen. Emma, I don't know how I'm going to pay rent this month. Sophie needs new shoes for school, and I'm working double shifts, but it's still not enough. Sometimes I wonder if I'm failing her. The text wasn't meant for him. His thumb hovers over the delete button, but something stops him. The raw honesty, the exhaustion bleeding through every word. In his world of calculated conversations and strategic smiles, this feels real. David Walker owns half the city's real estate. His face graces magazine covers. His engagement to socialite Victoria Green made headlines last month. But right now, he's just a man reading a stranger's pain. He should delete it. Pretend it never happened. But his fingers are already typing. I think you're braver than you know. He sends it before he can stop himself. 3 dots appear, then disappear, then appear again. The stranger is typing back. Sarah Mitchell sits in her car outside the diner where she works, phone trembling in her hands. She meant to text her sister Emma about the bills piling up, about 7-year-old Sophie asking why they can't afford the school field trip. Instead, she sent it to a wrong number, and someone replied, I think you're braver than you know. Sarah stares at the message. She should apologize for the mistake and move on. But there's something about those words. Something gentle. She hasn't felt seen in months. She types back, sorry, wrong number, but thank you for saying that. The response comes quickly. Don't apologize. Sometimes strangers see us clearer than the people who know us. Sarah's eyes fill with tears. When was the last time someone spoke to her like she mattered? Since her divorce 2 years ago. Every conversation has been about bills, schedules, surviving until tomorrow. She writes, I'm Sarah, and I probably shouldn't be texting a stranger, but today has been really hard. I'm David, and I'd like to listen if you want to talk. 20 minutes later, Sarah is still sitting in her car, sharing pieces of her life with this mysterious David. He doesn't judge when she admits she shops at thrift stores. He doesn't offer quick fixes when she explains how lonely single motherhood can be. He just listens. Meanwhile, David Walker sits in his penthouse office, board meeting forgotten. His assistant has knocked twice, but he waves her away. For the first time in years, he's having a conversation that isn't about money or mergers. Sarah tells him about Sophie's laugh, about reading bedtime stories and making pancakes on Sunday mornings. David finds himself smiling at his phone, remembering what it felt like to find joy in simple things. You sound like an amazing mother, he types. I don't feel amazing. I feel like I'm drowning most days. But you're still swimming. That's what amazing people do. Sarah's shift starts in 10 minutes, but she can't bring herself to end this conversation. This stranger's kindness feels like oxygen after holding her breath for months. I should go, she finally writes. Thank you for listening. I haven't felt this heard in a long time. Can we talk again tomorrow? David asks. Same time. Sarah hesitates. She doesn't even know his last name, but something about his messages feels safe. Genuine. Yes, she types. I'd like that. That night, Sarah serves tables with a lightness she hasn't felt in months. She finds herself smiling at customers, humming while she wipes down counters. Her manager, Mrs. Patterson, notices. You seem different tonight, honey. Good different. Sarah just nods, not ready to explain that a wrong number might have changed everything. Across town, David Walker sits in his engagement party planning meeting, but his mind is elsewhere. Victoria Green discusses flower arrangements and seating charts while he thinks about a woman named Sarah who makes pancakes on Sunday mornings. David, are you listening? Victoria's voice cuts through his thoughts. Of course, he lies, forcing his attention back to the woman who looks perfect on paper but has never made him feel the way 20 minutes of texting with the stranger did. The next evening, Sarah rushes to her car after work, eager to continue the conversation that has become the brightest part of her day. David's message is already waiting. How was your day, Sarah? For 2 weeks, they text every night. David learns about Sarah's dreams of going back to school, about how she sings off-key in the shower and burns toast most mornings. Sarah learns about David's love of old movies and his fear of heights, though he never mentions his wealth or status. They're both careful about certain details. Sarah doesn't mention her ex-husband's name or what diner she works at. David doesn't talk about his company or his engagement, but the connection grows deeper each night. "I look forward to your messages all day," Sarah admits one evening. "Is that crazy?" "If it's crazy, then we're both crazy," David responds. "You've become the best part of my day." Sarah stares at her phone, heart racing. She's falling for someone she's never met, someone who might not even be real. But his words feel more real than anything else in her life. "I wish I could meet you," she types before she can stop herself. David's response takes longer this time. When it comes, it changes everything. "Maybe we can arrange that." But as he types those words, Victoria Green walks into his office, wedding dress photos in hand. "Darling, we need to finalize the guest list," she says, kissing his cheek. David's phone buzzes with Sarah's response. "Really? You want to meet me?" His finger hovers over the keyboard, trapped between two worlds. Sarah stands in front of her closet, trying to find something decent to wear. After 3 weeks of nightly texting, David finally suggested they meet for coffee. She chose a small cafe downtown, somewhere casual where her thrift store clothes wouldn't stand out. She arrives early, nervous energy making her hands shake as she orders tea she can't afford. Every time the door opens, she looks up, wondering if the next person could be David. Meanwhile, David Walker sits in his Bentley outside the cafe, paralyzed. Through the window, he sees a woman with tired eyes and gentle hands, checking her phone nervously. Something about her posture, her careful way of stirring her tea, tells him this is Sarah. She's beautiful, but not in the polished way he's used to. Her beauty is real, unguarded. Everything his world isn't. His phone buzzes. "I'm here." Nervous but excited. "Are you close?" David stares at the message, then at the woman inside. He thinks about Victoria, about the wedding invitations already printed, about the board meeting he's missing. His life is a carefully constructed tower of expectations and obligations. But Sarah represents something else, something true. He gets out of the car. David walks into the cafe, and Sarah's eyes light up when she sees him. Even in his deliberately casual clothes, he carries himself differently than the men in her world. There's something about his confidence that makes her stomach flutter. "Sarah?" he asks, though he already knows. She stands, smiling nervously. "David, you're really here." They talk for 2 hours. Sarah finds herself laughing more than she has in months. David discovers that her voice is even warmer in person, that she gestures with her hands when she gets excited about something. "I should probably get home," Sarah finally says. "My daughter will be back from my neighbors soon." "Your daughter," David repeats, as if remembering something important. "Sophie, right? The one who needs new shoes." Sarah nods, touched that he remembered. "She's 7, the light of my life." "I'd like to meet her sometime," David says, surprising himself with the honesty. Sarah's heart skips. She'd like that. She's always asking why I smile at my phone now. They're walking toward the door when Sarah's phone rings. She glances at it and freezes. "Everything okay?" David asks. "It's my landlord," Sarah says, voice tight with worry. "I was supposed to pay rent 3 days ago." She answers the call, and David watches her face crumble. "Mr. Johnson, I know I'm late, but I have your money. I can bring it tomorrow morning." "What do you mean, tomorrow's too late?" David can hear the harsh voice through the phone, something about final notices and eviction proceedings. Sarah's hands are shaking now. "Please, Mr. Johnson, I have a little girl. Just give me until tomorrow." The line goes dead. Sarah stares at her phone, tears threatening to spill. "Hey," David says gently. "What's happening?" "I'm being evicted," Sarah whispers. "Tomorrow morning. I thought I had more time, but apparently the final notice got lost in the mail, and now—" She trails off, overwhelmed. David's mind races. He could fix this with a single phone call. He could pay her rent for the next year without blinking. But how does he explain that without revealing who he really is? How much do you need? He asks carefully. $1,200, Sarah says, then immediately shakes her head. But I can't ask you for money. We barely know each other. You're not asking. I'm offering. Sarah looks at him, really looks at him for the first time. The expensive watch he tried to hide under his sleeve, the way he carries himself, the casual confidence that only comes from never having to worry about money. Who are you? She asks quietly. David's throat goes dry. I'm David. You know me. No, Sarah says, stepping back. I know someone who texts me every night. Someone who understands what it's like to struggle. But you, she gestures at his perfectly tailored casual clothes, his luxury car keys he forgot to hide. You're not that person, are you? Sarah, I can explain. Are you rich? She asks bluntly. David's silence is answer enough. Sarah's face transforms, embarrassment replacing hope. Oh God, I've been pouring my heart out to some rich guy who probably thinks I'm pathetic. That's not true. The single mom who can't pay rent, the woman who shops at thrift stores. What a sob story for you to laugh about with your friends. I would never. Don't. Sarah's voice is firm now, dignified despite her tears. Just don't. She turns to leave, then stops. For what it's worth, the man I was texting, the one who made me feel seen, I was falling in love with him. Sarah walks out, leaving David standing in the cafe, surrounded by the wreckage of his deception. But as the door closes behind her, David realizes something that terrifies him. He was falling in love with her too. David sits in his car outside the cafe for an hour, staring at his phone. He's typed and deleted 20 messages to Sarah, each one feeling more inadequate than the last. Finally, he writes, "Please let me explain." The message goes undelivered. She's blocked his number. That night, David Walker attends his own engagement party. Victoria Green glides through the crowd in a designer dress, accepting congratulations on their upcoming wedding. But David feels like he's watching his life from outside his body. "You seem distracted, darling," Victoria says during a quiet moment. "Are you having second thoughts?" For the first time in their relationship, David considers telling her the truth. But Victoria's smile is so confident, so sure of their perfect future together, that he can't find the words. "Just tired," he says instead. "Long day." Meanwhile, Sarah sits on her couch, Sophie asleep in her arms. Tomorrow, they'll have to pack their belongings and find somewhere to stay. Her neighbor Mrs. Chen offered her spare room for a few nights, but Sarah can't impose for long. She stares at her phone, fighting the urge to unblock David's number. Part of her wants to hear his explanation, to understand why he lied. But a bigger part of her feels foolish for believing that someone could care about her without pity or agenda. The next morning, Sarah packs their few belongings while Sophie plays with her stuffed rabbit, oblivious to the chaos around her. "Where are we going, Mama?" Sophie asks. "On an adventure," Sarah says, forcing cheerfulness into her voice. "Remember how we used to play camping in the living room? It's like that." Sophie claps her hands, delighted. Sarah's heart breaks a little more. At 9 a.m., the landlord arrives with papers. He's not unkind, just businesslike. Sarah signs what she needs to sign, takes her boxes, and walks out of the only home Sophie has ever known. They're loading Sarah's beat-up Honda when a black car pulls up. David gets out, and Sarah's stomach drops. "Please," he says, approaching carefully. "Just let me talk to you." "Now's not a good time," Sarah says, glancing meaningfully at Sophie. "Mama, who's that man?" Sophie asks, peering around her mother. "Nobody important," Sarah says, but her voice cracks. David winces. He looks at the boxes, at Sophie's confused face, at Sarah's red-rimmed eyes. "You're being evicted because of me." "You're being evicted because I can't pay rent," Sarah corrects. "Don't flatter yourself. I could have helped." "With what?" "Your pretty money." David reaches into his jacket and pulls out an envelope. "It's not pity." Sarah doesn't take it. "What is it then?" It's me trying to fix what I broke." "You can't fix this," Sarah says. You can't throw money at this and make it okay. Then what can I do? Sarah looks at him for a long moment. You can leave us alone. She turns to Sophie. Get in the car, baby. But Mama. Now, Sophie. David watches them drive away, the envelope still in his hand. He stands there until long after their car disappears, feeling more helpless than he's ever felt in his life. That evening, Sarah sits in Mrs. Chen's spare room, trying to read Sophie a bedtime story. But Sophie keeps asking questions about the man from that morning, about why Mama was crying, about when they can go home. Soon, Sarah promises, though she doesn't know how she'll keep that promise. After Sophie falls asleep, Sarah finally allows herself to cry. She cries for the apartment they lost, for the dreams that feel impossibly far away, for the connection she felt with David that turned out to be built on lies. But mostly, she cries because despite everything, she misses him. She misses their nightly conversations, the way he made her feel understood, the hope he gave her that someone could see her worth. Her phone buzzes. A text from an unknown number. I know you don't want to hear from me, but I need you to know something. The man you were texting, that was the real me. The wealth, the status, the perfect life, that's the lie. You're the first person who's ever seen who I really am. Sarah stares at the message, heart pounding. She types back, if that's true, then why did you hide it? Because I was afraid you'd see me differently, that you'd think I was just another rich guy trying to buy his way into your life. Weren't you? The response takes a long time. I thought I was. But somewhere along the way, I realized I wasn't trying to buy anything. I was trying to earn something I'd never had before. What? Love. Real love. Not the kind that comes with contracts and prenups and photo ops. The kind that makes you want to be better than you are. Sarah's hands are shaking as she types. I can't do this, David. I can't be your charity case or your rebellion against your real life. You're not either of those things. Then what am I? David's final message appears on her screen. You're the woman I want to spend the rest of my life with, if you'll let me prove it. Sarah stares at the phone until the screen goes dark, her reflection looking back at her in the black glass. David Walker hasn't slept in 3 days. He's canceled board meetings, ignored Victoria's calls, and spent hours driving past the diner where Sarah works, never finding the courage to go inside. His assistant, Margaret, brings him coffee and speaks carefully. Sir, Miss Green has called 4 times today. She's concerned about the wedding preparations. David looks up from his desk, where he's been staring at his phone, willing Sarah to respond to his messages. What wedding? Margaret's eyebrows rise. Your wedding, sir. In 3 weeks. 3 weeks. The timeline hits him like a physical blow. In 3 weeks, he'll be married to Victoria Green, living the life everyone expects him to live. But it will be a life without Sarah, without the possibility of real love. Cancel it, he says quietly. Sir, cancel the wedding. Margaret stares at him. Mr. Walker, there are 400 guests, vendors. The church is booked. I don't care about the cost. Cancel it. That evening, David sits in his car outside the diner again. Through the window, he watches Sarah serve tables with the same gentle efficiency she described in her texts. She looks tired, older somehow, but she still smiles at her customers. A little girl sits at the counter, coloring in a book. Sophie. She has Sarah's eyes and an infectious giggle that makes the other customers smile. David's phone buzzes. A text from Victoria. We need to talk. Now. He drives to Victoria's penthouse, dreading the conversation he should have had weeks ago. She's waiting in her living room, wedding dress hanging like a ghost behind her. I know, she says before he can speak. What do you know? About the waitress. About your little charity project. David's blood turns cold. How? I had you followed. David, really? Did you think I wouldn't notice you disappearing for hours, ignoring my calls, acting like a different person? Victoria picks up a folder from her coffee table and slides it across to him. Inside are photos of him and Sarah at the cafe, transcripts of their text conversations, Sarah's employment records, her eviction notice. Where did you get this? Does it matter? The question is, what are you going to do about it? David stares at the photos. In one, Sarah's laughing at something he said. In another, she's crying on the phone with her landlord. Victoria's investigators had captured every moment of their brief, beautiful connection. I'm calling off the wedding, he says. Victoria laughs, but there's no humor in it. No, you're not. Victoria, do you know what this little affair will cost you? Your reputation, your board position, your social standing. You'll be the billionaire who left his fiancée for a broke waitress. The headlines will be brutal. I don't care about headlines. You should, because while you're playing house with your project, I'll be making sure everyone knows exactly what kind of man you really are. Victoria stands and walks to the window. I've already had a conversation with Sarah's landlord. Interesting man, very motivated by money. David's stomach drops. What did you do? I made sure she knows exactly what you are. A rich man who collects broken women as a hobby. That's not true. Isn't it? You lied to her from the beginning. You let her believe you were someone you're not. And now you want to swoop in and save her? How is that different from collecting anything else? David's hands clench into fists. Because I love her. Love. Victoria's voice is mocking. You love the idea of her. You love feeling like a hero. You love having someone worship you without knowing who you really are. Stop. The wedding is in 3 weeks, David. You will be there. You will smile. And you will marry me. Because if you don't, I'll make sure Sarah Mitchell and her daughter lose more than just their apartment. David stares at Victoria, seeing her clearly for the first time. Beautiful, polished, and completely without soul. What happened to you? He asks quietly. I grew up. I learned that love is a luxury, and luxuries cost money. You have money, I have breeding. It's a perfect match. Not for me. Then think about her. Think about little Sophie. Think about what happens to them when I'm done. David leaves Victoria's apartment, feeling like he's trapped in a nightmare. He drives aimlessly through the city, past the cafe where he met Sarah, past the apartment complex where she was evicted, past the diner where she works. Finally, he parks and pulls out his phone. He types, I'm sorry for everything. I know I don't deserve forgiveness, but I need you to know that meeting you changed my life. You made me want to be better. You made me want to be real. He stares at the message for a long time, then deletes it. Instead, he writes, I'm getting married in 3 weeks. I thought you should know. He sends it before he can change his mind. The response comes quickly. Congratulations. I hope you're happy. David stares at Sarah's final message, knowing he's lost the only thing that ever mattered. But as he drives home, he doesn't see Sarah in her car in the diner parking lot, crying over his message, her heart breaking all over again. 2 days before David's wedding, Sarah receives a phone call that changes everything. Miss Mitchell, this is Margaret Stevens, Mr. Walker's assistant. He asked me to call you. Sarah's grip tightens on the phone. I don't want to talk to him. He's not asking you to talk to him. He's asking you to listen. Before Sarah can hang up, Margaret continues. There's a voicemail he recorded for you. He wanted you to have it before tomorrow. Tomorrow. The wedding is tomorrow, Miss Mitchell. He moved it up. Sarah's heart clenches. Why are you telling me this? Because in 20 years of working for him, I've never seen him cry. Until this week. That night, after Sophie is asleep, Sarah finally listens to the voicemail. David's voice is raw, tired, nothing like the confident man she met at the cafe. Sarah, I know you don't want to hear from me, but I need to say this. Not because I expect anything from you, but because I need you to know the truth. You asked me who I was, and I gave you the wrong answer. I told you I was David Walker, the billionaire, the board member, the man who's about to marry Victoria Green. But that's not who I am. I'm the man who looks forward to your texts every night. I'm the man who thinks Sophie sounds like the most amazing little girl in the world. I'm the man who wants to make pancakes with you on Sunday mornings and doesn't care if they burn. I'm the man who fell in love with your strength, your kindness, your beautiful heart. And I'm the man who was too much of a coward to tell you that from the beginning. Tomorrow, I'm going to marry Victoria because I don't know how to be brave enough to choose love over expectation. But I want you to know that if I could do it all over again, I'd tell you the truth from the first message. I'd tell you that I'm rich in money, but poor in everything that matters. I'd tell you that you made me want to be the kind of man who deserves someone like you. I'd tell you that I love you, Sarah Mitchell, and I'm sorry I waited until it was too late to say it. Sarah plays the message 3 times, tears streaming down her face. She stares at her phone, thumb hovering over his contact, but she doesn't call back. The next morning, David Walker stands at the altar of St. Matthew's Cathedral, surrounded by 400 guests. Victoria walks down the aisle in a dress that cost more than Sarah's annual salary, but all David can think about is a woman in a thrift store sweater who made him laugh in a downtown cafe. Do you, David Walker, take Victoria Green to be your lawfully wedded wife? David opens his mouth to say, I do, but no words come out. He sees Victoria's face, perfectly composed, but with ice in her eyes. He sees the guests, all watching the social event of the year. And then he sees something else. In the back of the church, barely visible behind a massive flower arrangement, Sarah sits alone. She's wearing the same dress she wore to their coffee date, and she's crying. Their eyes meet across the crowded church. Sarah shakes her head slightly, not in anger, but in sadness. She mouths one word, choose. David looks at Victoria, then back at Sarah. I can't, he says quietly. What? Victoria hisses. I can't do this. David's voice grows stronger. I'm sorry, Victoria. I'm sorry to everyone here, but I can't marry you. The church erupts in gasps and whispers. Victoria's face transforms from composed to furious. You will regret this, she says through gritted teeth. I know, David replies, but I'd regret the other choice more. He walks down the aisle, past shocked faces and whispered conversations. Sarah has already disappeared, but David runs outside anyway, still in his wedding tuxedo, looking for her. He finds her sitting on a bench across the street, watching him with sad eyes. You came, he says, slightly out of breath. I had to make sure you were happy, Sarah says softly. I'm not happy. I'm terrified and probably about to lose everything I've built, but for the first time in my life, I'm free. Sarah stands up. What happens now? David takes her hands. Now I prove to you that the man in those text messages was real, if you'll let me. Sarah looks at him for a long moment. It's going to be hard, David. People will talk. Your friends, your family, they'll never accept me. Then I'll find new friends. I'll build a new life. With you if you want. Sarah smiles through her tears. Ask me again in 6 months, when the headlines die down and the dust settles. Ask me then if I still want to build something real with you. David nods, understanding. I'll wait. I know you will, Sarah says, because that's what love does. It waits. It hopes. It chooses to be brave. She kisses his cheek and walks away, leaving David standing outside the church in his wedding tuxedo, watching the woman he loves disappear around the corner. But this time, he's not afraid, because he knows she'll be back. Some love stories don't end with a wedding. Sometimes they end with a choice to begin again.